Well, that definitely hurts as the New York Knicks winning streak has come to an end, as the New York Knicks were on a 9-game winning streak, but that goes on to be snapped at Madison Square Garden as they lose to the Charlotte Hornets, the final score being 112 to 105. And that winning streak was awesome. You know, the New York Knicks, I'm not taking anything away from our ball club. We have played good basketball, but to be completely real with you guys, the Knicks stunk it up in the second half. They absolutely choked this game. I thought they got too comfortable, and that wasn't the vibe I was getting from this team before this game. I was disappointed in the outcome. We were going to lose at some point, but it's just the fashion, it's just the context of the way we lost this game. Because if we win 10 in a row, at home at Madison Square Garden versus Charlotte, awesome. 10 wins in a row for the New York Knicks. If we lose the next game versus the Sacramento Kings Thursday night on national television, it still hurts, but it's like the Kings are one of the best teams in basketball. They're a top 3 seed. They're not the Charlotte Hornets that are literally going to be in the top 5 lottery or maybe end up with the first overall pick for a Victor Wembanyama. Obviously, they're not Spurs bad, Rockets bad, but they're still one of the worst teams in basketball. But also, they've had some upsets. I know the Miami Heat aren't world beaters this season, but they also found a way to upset the Miami Heat a couple times this season as well, which definitely hurt Miami Heat fans when it comes to this 2023 campaign, that it's like, I can't take this team serious. I'm starting to not believe in the squad. And they still have bucket getters. They still have talent. But at the end of the day, LaMelo Ball out with an ankle injury. They've been getting embarrassed lately. They've been playing some of the worst basketball in the world when it comes to the National Basketball Association. But these are NBA players. These are professional athletes for a reason. Steve Clifford is a head coach for a reason. There's going to be nights that they're good. There's going to be nights that they're really bad. And the Charlotte Hornets came into play in the second half. They overcame adversity. Terry Rozier is going to have nights that he's a microwave player, or he's a microwave player. He's going to have games that he's extremely hot, and then he's going to have games he's extremely cold. We let him get hot, and he absolutely went off. Kelly Oubre, he's averaging 20 points per game this season. He's expanded his offensive arsenal since being drafted by the Washington Wizards. You see the progression through his game. 27 points, extremely good efficiency. We already know he's a good athlete. He's a good defensive player. He showed up. Gordon Hayward, when healthy, has shown he's still a good player in this league. But that's the big thing, when staying healthy. And he was healthy tonight. He showed up. PJ Washington's still a very quality player in this league, despite all the drama that's going on off the court, has gone on. And I'm not saying it's completely his fault with all his baby mamas and all that. But Charlotte Hornets showed up. They caught us sleeping in the second half. The New York Knicks were the better team when it came to that second quarter and maybe a couple minutes in the third quarter. But besides that, it was even matchup when it came to the first quarter. It was a tie ball game after that first quarter. But after the first few minutes of the third quarter, Charlotte Hornets whooped our ass. They killed us in the fourth quarter. They were straight up the better team. And again, I'm not going to overreact. I've been happy with the way the New York Knicks have been playing. We won 9 games in a row. We were going to lose at some point. We just came off of a double overtime win up against the Boston Celtics the other night, which I'm pleased with their effort. And maybe that went into why the Knicks lost. I'm not making an excuse at all. But when a player like Emmanuel quickly plays 55 minutes, when RJ plays over 40 minutes, Randall plays over 40 minutes, it's a double overtime game. Your legs are going to be fatigued. You're going to be tired out there on the floor. That's just the nature of the amount of games you play in the NBA. That's just the way the conditioning is, how different it is from college, how different it is from high school, quickly having to get extra treatment. When it comes to ice baths, he already does ice baths, but just extra treatment in general. You're going to be extremely sore as a player. Your shots are probably going to be flat, and the shots were flat tonight. But then sometimes you could say, maybe that's an excuse, maybe it's not, because the 3-ball was falling in the second quarter, because this was a scrappy defensive effort in the first quarter. It's a tie ball game. Both teams only scored 21 points, I believe. And I like the way the Knicks were playing offensively, though. Even though the outcome wasn't really showing in the scoring department, I thought we did a really good job pitching and kicking, getting the defensive collapse, kicking the ball outside of the perimeter. Our shots just weren't falling. I like the way the offense was executing. When Grimes, they did a perfect job reading the second-year big man, Mark Williams, who's a young player coming out of Duke last year, that he's unexperienced. He's still figuring out how to play in this league. He's played in the G League, but he hasn't gotten tons of reps in the NBA. He has this season, but there hasn't really been consistency of playing at the upper echelon level. He's played more G League than NBA quality minutes. He's obviously improved this season when he's gotten the opportunity. Horn is struggling, and he stepped in and has played well. But Grimes attacking or RJ attacking, he would overcommit to those guys, and then Grimes and RJ did a really good job finding a Mitch Robinson, specifically a very nice play by Grimes and RJ, I thought made some nice reads out there on the floor. So we did a good job finding Mitchell Robinson inside in the interior. I thought it was a defensive battle. I liked the way we were moving our feet. Again, wasn't some crazy offensive battle, but RJ got off to a nice start, finishing at the basket. Randall knocked down some difficult shots early on, so it's like, are these guys, are their legs really fatigued, or is it going to set in throughout the game? Quickly got off to a very shaky start. He missed his first 4 shots in this game, but it was a defensive battle, like I mentioned. I thought we're making nice reads. I just thought her shots weren't falling, and I'm like, I'm okay with this. I'm okay with it. Let's take care of business in the second quarter. And the New York Knicks did that. When it came to halftime, we were up 16 points. There were some crazy sequences in that second quarter. Quickly started to cook. He hit a couple threes. He got to that floater, but it wasn't consistent throughout this game. He didn't step up in the second half. And again, he played 55 minutes. I wasn't expecting him to have another world beater type of game. I knew there was going to be some type of fatigue setting in. That's just the nature of the NBA. I'm not trying to make excuses. Maybe you could say, yeah, he just missed his shots and he wasn't good. You could put it either way. I'm not trying to make excuses. I never try to make excuses for this basketball club, but I thought RJ did a really good job. We found him a good amount of times on this curl play. He was able to get to the basket, but the reality was RJ was very efficient finishing at the basket. He was brilliant finishing at the basket, but he didn't knock down his threes. He was 1 of 7 from the three-point line. This overall club was inefficient from the free throw line. And I don't even think that's a fatigue thing. We've struggled from the free throw line, or we've been kind of mediocre from the free throw line. We definitely need to work on that department. I don't know if we work on our free throws, but the 3-ball was fine. The 3-ball was better. Randall, despite him not scoring at a very high level, he was making excellent passes to Emmanuel quickly, which got him going from 3, when that's the Randall we want in the playoffs. When he's double-teamed, he recognizes it, kicks out to it quickly. And he made a couple beautiful reads to quickly, which resulted in those threes. I remember it might have been Randall as well that made a really nice pass to Grimes, or it might have been Mitchell Robinson. And I'm like, all right, we're starting to cook from 3. We're competing defensively. We're playing at a very high level. I remember Grimes had this really nice reverse layup in transition at the end of the second quarter to put us up 16 points. Josh Hart comes in. He plays excellent defense. He's doing his thing, taking it coast to coast. I'm like, this is what we want. The Knicks are taking care of business. Like, we're the better team. And the New York Knicks looked like the better team in that second quarter. But it always felt like we didn't fully put this team away because Terry Rozier was hitting difficult shots. And when he's hitting difficult shots, he's going to get into some type of rhythm. He's going to start feeling it. And you don't want this player to get hot. You don't want him to get into any type of rhythm, because he's one of those players. Once he starts scoring, he thinks he's one of the best players in the league. Some players have that mindset, which you should. You should always have that killer mindset. Like, when you're on, I'm one of the best players in the league. I'm one of the best scorers in the league. I'm not saying he's one of the best players in the league, but some players just have that killer mentality. Kelly Oubre was still scoring the basketball. Gordon Hayward's still able to get to his mid-range shot. So RJ's playing well. He's turning the corner, getting to the basket, quickly starting to cook. Mitchell Robinson's interior defense is pretty solid. Randall's not scoring at a high level, but he's making solid passes. Josh Hart's coming off the bench. He's playing good defense. Hartenstein, I thought, kind of struggled again tonight. I thought he was kind of a turnstile defensively, allowed interior dribble penetration, which really pissed off Tibbs. But even when thriving, the big thing that frustrated me, I'm like, we could be up 20 plus if we didn't allow offensive rebounds, if we didn't allow second chance points, if we didn't allow second chance opportunities. And the New York Knicks allowed that. It's unacceptable. It can't be accepted. But Jalen Brunson obviously not in this game. Jalen Brunson continues to be out when it comes to that foot soreness, and I'm not sure what the future is with that moving forward. Hopefully he plays in the Kings game if he's 100%. If he's not, it's a big-time part of the season. I wouldn't risk injury, but that's going to be a big game. Sacramento Kings are a top 3 seed in the Western Conference. Third quarter comes out. Right out the gate, RJ has a very nice bucket. Quickly hits a shot. But there was just such a high level of inconsistency defensively that it got to the point we were trading buckets. PJ Washington, Gordon Hayward, Terry Rozier, it didn't matter. We were trading buckets. Kelly Oubre, you can't trade buckets with the squad because they get purely high confidence. You can't allow that versus the Charlotte Hornets. And there was just several levels of this. The offense started to become stagnant after a few minutes because the Hornets were pressing us. They were picking up our guards, trapping our guards, or just really getting up in their jerseys and making sure Quickly's not comfortable and bringing up the ball, making pressure situations that he can these high quality reads, and the Charlotte Hornets did a really good job with that. They really pressed RJ. RJ was extremely efficient in the first half, but he didn't really do much in the second half. He had a few nice buckets around the basket, but his 3-ball wasn't falling. They're like, we're going to try to close off these lanes. Randall looked disinterested. Or I'm not going to say maybe looked disinterested, but he didn't look fully engaged. So maybe that's the same thing. And I'm just making an excuse for him because he's been so good. But he wasn't efficient out there. I thought he was settling. I thought he was standing around on defense at times. The defense was atrocious. We were allowing dribble penetration. There's not really much credit to go around because as a ball club, we didn't step up defensively. Mitchell Robinson, I didn't think he was awesome in the second half protecting the rim. I didn't think he was awesome. RJ, I didn't think was awesome. I thought he was pretty damn good in the first half. But outside that, like, first half, I thought we were playing pretty good D. Third quarter's when I thought it fell apart. The offensive rebounds get even worse. We only hit 2 threes in the entire second half. It was extremely, extremely bad. We're missing free throws at times as well. And when quickly after he hits like a couple shots at the beginning of the third and he starts missing, Randall's not in a rhythm, RJ's out of sorts, the offense becomes stagnant, we're not moving the ball as much, and when the Hornets are in this up pace like type of rhythm, you're in trouble. You're allowing offensive rebounds, you can't hit the side of the barn, you're not competing as much defensively, you can't do anything right. I thought they kind of got in our heads mentally. It's like this team has something to play for. They're trying to build that winning streak. Obviously everyone's trying to win. But it's just like, we suck. We kind of don't have much to play for. We're not making the playoffs. Like, let's try to embarrass this team. And I could say they definitely did get in our heads. And Kelly Oubre led the way with 27 points. Terry Rozier, 25 points. So they were able to cut it to 9 points. But then Kelly Oubre ends up picking up this technical. I'm like, okay, that's huge there. So we get this free throw. We have a chance with the basketball as well. But it just seemed like there was no adjustment. There was no switch really flipped for this New York Knicks team. Again, I could just bash the Knicks, but I have to give credit to the Hornets. They played excellent basketball, and we just couldn't hit our shots. We really couldn't. We couldn't get into any type of offensive flow at all. And I thought what really cost this team the game, because the New York Knicks eventually did get that lead back. We were able to score a couple times because there was no crazy consistency of offensive flow at the end of the third, entering the fourth, because the Hornets didn't score for a few minutes at the beginning of the fourth. But we weren't up a lot. We were only up like 5-6 points when they couldn't score for a few minutes. That was your chance to capitalize. That was your chance to go on a big-time run. And it was kind of a game of runs a little bit at the fourth quarter, like very small runs, like 4-0 runs. And I'm like, if the Hornets start getting going and we can't start scoring offensively again because their guys are scoring at a more efficient clip, we're in trouble. And the reality is the New York Knicks did not clean up their mistakes. They continue to do the same thing over and over again. Couldn't have any consistent spark offensively at all. It was bad. It was just really bad. The Charlotte Hornets completely outplayed us. It was going to happen at some point that we lose the game, but to the Charlotte Hornets, it really does hurt. And you could say there were some very controversial calls in this game. When we were up a couple points, there's 4 minutes left in the basketball game. RJ Barrett's driving at a Gordon Hayward. He was clearly fouled by Gordon Hayward. I'm like, cool, RJ's going to get a couple free throws here, give us a little bit of a cushion. But obviously the way the Hornets were scoring and the way we're defending, I'm like, I don't know, we're probably not going to get a stop here. So we're going to have to play some good offense and defense down the stretch, which we did not do. But they challenge it. They overturn it. They're saying RJ's not fouled, actually. That which was just an awful, awful call. And obviously the Hornets ended up with the basketball when the play was going on. So they did not do a jump ball. Hornets ended up with the ball. They obviously are able to create some big-time offensive spark. They went on a 14-2 run at one point in that fourth. Just the offense was so bad. It was just really bad. It looked like, I wouldn't even say we're disinterested. We just couldn't execute. We just couldn't. The Hornets were pressing us. They really got in our heads. I felt like there was another play as well. Maybe we win, maybe we don't. But we're down 3. I would say there's 45 seconds left. Quickly's driving to the basket. He clearly gets hacked. He clearly gets fouled. And they call a loose ball foul on Julius Randle, which is a terrible, unacceptable call. And again, I'm not trying to use officiating as an excuse. We should have boxed out better. We shouldn't have allowed offensive rebounds. You're not going to win games in this league when you make 2 3-pointers in the second half. You have to defend better as well. But Emmanuel Quickley was fouled before that Julius Randle loose ball foul occurred of him shoving Terry Rozier a little bit. You can't call that. When Emmanuel Quickley was fouled before that contact occurred. But credit to the Charlotte Hornets, they're straight up the better team. Let me know down below your thoughts. Kelly Oubre hit the big time 3 at the end. Gordon Hayward took RJ Barrett to school for a huge and one as well at the end of the game. We didn't trade buckets. And having Brunson would have been a totally different story in my opinion. Let me know down below your thoughts. Peace out, y'all.